Hey guys, what's up? My name is Michael, and today I'm going to be answering your publishing questions you have about ASCAP and BMI. So I have my YouTube page put up right here. We're going to go through the comments. This might be a little bit of a longer video, but I'm just going to go through the questions and answer them as best as I can. So let's dive in. So the first person asks, if you forget to add outside co-writers publishing, will the registration be rejected? So this pertains to the Songtrust video that I made a while back. So whenever you register with Songtrust, always double check your entries and make sure that they're as accurate as possible. If you are the writer that is signed with Songtrust and you have two outside writers or how many other writers are on the track, it's important to make sure that all their information is correctly inserted as well. Songtrust is only responsible for collecting your share of the royalties. They're not going to really care about the other writers that are on the track, but they want to ensure that they're only collecting your portion. If, for example, you register a song on ASCAP and it's different than the registration on Songtrust, there's going to be delays because ASCAP's going to reach out to Songtrust and say, hey, you're double registering the song and they're different. Like, why is that the situation? Why is that the case? How can we fix this? So always important to double check your work and making sure that all that information is correctly put in. You can check out my Songtrust video in the link in my bio as well if you haven't checked it out already. Next question is, I have my own publishing account, but if I'm working with an artist, do I use their BMI publishing, and wouldn't that give my publishing checks to them? So whenever you register a song with ASCAP, you basically insert each writer one at a time. So for example, I'll put my name, so Michael AZUMA, and then my publishing company would be AZUMA Publishing, right? That would be my entry. The next writer would be, let's say like John F, right? John F would be the writer name, and then his publishing company would be, F Publishing, right? So you're registering the publishing entity and you're pairing them with an artist. You're not registering one publishing entity with all of them. So it's important to always make sure that if you're registering with ASCAP to have kind of a one-to-one ratio. If you are registering for a writer that's with BMI and they're self-published, BMI allows you to self-publish, and basically what that means is you can roll up your publishing share. So rather than having two accounts, you have one account. So that is an option. ASCAP advises that you click this writer does not have a publisher on this entity or this song, and they will roll up that share automatically for you. So that's a pro tip. The registration process is a little bit different when you're registering on ASCAP versus BMI. Both of those videos you can check on my channel if you're interested. Kind of goes through the step-by-step process for how to register. Next one is, I'm a producer. I'm already signed with a PRO and through BeatStars Publishing. Cool. I want to start recording as an artist, but I'm using a different stage name. Am I able to register with BMI, ASCAP, and Songtrust under a different name with the same legal information? So whenever you register with a PRO, it has to be your full legal name. It can't be any artist name. It can't be any pseudonym you have. They do that mainly for tax purposes because, for example, if I put Hashan, which is one of my artist projects, and I put that as the writer name, and I got a check and a tax statement back from ASCAP at the end of the year, it's going to look different. It's going to be hard to kind of calculate my taxes. So they always ask for your legal name. You can put your performance names on your PRO. For example, I have all four of my performance names linked to my account. So whenever I am adding those details in, I can just kind of put that information in as I see fit. But this guy pretty much is covered. He's signed up with the PRO. He has a publishing entity, which is good. The next thing he might need to worry about is signing up with some sort of admin publisher. TuneCore Publishing, Songtrust would be one of the go-tos I would look for, just to make sure he's got all of his bases covered. And then in addition to that, signing up with the MLC as well as some other neighboring rights collection agencies would be important. I'm gonna drink some coffee real quick. His next question, in BMI, when asked who the publisher is of a cover song that I arranged, are they referring to the cover song's publisher or myself as a publisher of my own arrangement? Can you understand how ambiguous that question is? Please clear this up. Okay, so you can't register cover songs with PROs because you didn't write the song, right? A cover song, for the most part, it's just a new recording of that, pre-written track. So you can't collect performance royalties based on that. PROs are solely for the purpose of collecting performance royalties for songs. They're not for recordings. It's important to note that difference because a lot of times someone will do a cover and be like, oh, I'm registering with my PRO right now. It's like, okay, well, don't do that, because if you do, it does lead to some issues because the original songwriter is actually supposed to get paid that money. You're still supposed to register it, but it's supposed to be their information that is getting the cash flow for that track. You can get compulsory mechanical licenses. I think from Harry Fox is the company that offers them. You can also get them through DistroKid or whatever distributor you're using. They will sometimes have a process for that. You're basically paying a fee in order to license and use that song in your own version, even if it is completely completely different from the original. So worth noting, do not register cover songs with your PRO. Cool, this next question. What if the writer and composer is the publisher as I am? Should I put my name in as the publisher? And what if the writer and composer is the recording artist, but I'm using a band name as well, but do not have a band name? Should I put, okay. So kind of a convoluted way to ask the question. Most artists are independently run and they are both their writer and their publishing entities. So for me, I have, Michael AZUMA is my writer account with ASCAP. My publishing entity is AZUMA Publishing, right? That's two separate entities that are collecting my 100% share of my, publishing pie. When you are filling out the form and ASCAP does ask for like, has this, been recorded? Has this been performed? All that information is just extra to help them, clarify the registration. I, for the most part, just put, if I put out an artist project under Hashan, I put Hashan, release date, the name of the song, and then usually they ask for the ISRC, which is just the unique code given to every song, kind of like the UPC code, but just for song recordings. And I'll put that in just to make sure everything is correctly registered in there. That's pretty much it. You don't really need to go back in and change a lot of the other things. It is important to note that if you are releasing music as a band, you should have some sort of split sheet agreement on who is getting what, because even though you are technically classified as one entity, it's important to make sure you divvy up who is getting what, because you can't have it all run through one writer account. That's going to create more complications in the future, because if writer A decide to leave from the band, but they're collecting all the publishing splits from that band prior, right? There's a weird accounting things and they have to worry about that. So always, if you're working in a duo group, if you're working by yourself, always have separate publishing accounts and separate writer accounts to make sure that the split is easy and nice and clean. This next guy, he's got 3 questions. Let's dive in. So when adding the publisher, you said that ownership and collection percentages should be the same unless you have Songtrust. I use Songtrust as my publisher administrator. What percentage should I say for me? On my publisher's name, do I put Songtrust Boulevard right? The IPVI, okay. I personally, this might not be the best method, but what I do, just because Songtrust takes forever, I will always register my songs with ASCAP first. So I will go there. It takes me like 2 minutes to register a song now, because you just need the song name, your artist name, song name, writer 1, writer 2, publishing information for both, and then the ISRC later on if you have the song available for recording. Don't put in Songtrust for any of the part here, just because once you register with Songtrust, they will submit another entry to your PRO that will quote unquote correct the information, but allow them to collect your share of the publishing that will then get vetted through their system. So don't worry about that. Don't put Songtrust. I would avoid if you can, just because Songtrust is a little bit hard to get in touch with nowadays. I would say I still have songs from 1 to 2 years ago that are still pending in their system. So personally, I think I might leave Songtrust, but I would advise you to do your own research to look into that for independent artists. But definitely something to consider for anyone that's looking for an admin publisher. So when you get to the part that is this a concert work? If not, skip. What do we answer? You answered it. Skip. If you don't have it, if for some reason the optional question is at the bottom you can't fill out, then skip them, because it's really just for if you have a song that fits a specific criteria. I would say 90% of the time you're basically just putting in your writer information and then you're submitting the recording information and you're done. You're not going to be going to that bottom section and filling out everything else. Because if you do work in a lot of sync licensing and a lot of environments like that where there's cue sheets getting sent in, they will do all the registration for you, hopefully. And you'll see that appear on your statement as a cue sheet rather than a registration work on your profile. I would still enter them just in case though, just to make sure that you have records of it somewhere, just to ensure that if there is payments that come a lot later than you expect, that you at least have some sort of proof. It's like, hey, the song was registered, make sure that you're funneling the correct money to me to ensure your payments are paid on time. Do you know how to gain an additional name connected to your IPI number? You can't. You can only have only one legal name. You can't have a pseudonym as your name connected to your IPI number. That just doesn't make any sense. Solely for tax purposes, they just want your full name. Your artist name is irrelevant, right? Mainly because a lot of people will have one writer account, but they'll have 4 or 5 different artist projects that they all work under. So for me, I have AZU, which was my project in college. I have Amizu, which was my project in high school. I have Hashan, which was college and kind of now. And I have Wabi Sabi and Club Yokai are 2 different projects I also work on. All of those are under my artist or under my writer name, but they're all different artist accounts that allow me to kind of funnel to one writer account. So don't worry too much about having your specific artist name as your IPI connected. It doesn't matter. For the most part, most people aren't going to be seeing this information, and it's mainly for collection purposes. It's not for like a social media tag where people can look you up on ASCAP. Okay. Great video, very useful. Thank you so much. How do you register a cover song, or can you not do that? Don't do it. Don't do it. I can't answer that before, but never register a cover song. Do not do that. If it's a cover song, you didn't write the original. PROs only collect on songs. So they don't collect on recordings. Recordings are a whole different story. You end up having to get a license from your distributor in order to ensure you can actually collect the money generated from that cover. Whole different guidelines for that. So don't register. If you're just doing cover songs, you're really only going to see revenue from your distributor like DistroKid, TuneCore, or Lander. You're not going to be seeing any money from ASCAP or BMI. Same question. If I have Songtrust for publishing, how should I fill out the publishing portion of the registration? Exact same thing. I would register with your PRO first and then register with Songtrust right after and see. Do that process just so you can ensure that you have some footnote of you registering it fast, and then when Songtrust eventually catches up, they can handle the kind of neighboring rights global processing for your royalties and whatnot. I see. Why can't I use an ASCAP publisher with BMI? A BMI writer should not be linked to a publisher that contains ASCAP or CSAC publishers. Your publisher has to be the exact same PRO as your writer. So for example, I'm with ASCAP. My publisher of choice is also with ASCAP because I created it. If, for example, I was to switch to BMI, I would need to make a separate publisher's account for BMI. This is just to ensure that there's no kind of cross collection issues. It's kind of like a color categorization, right? It's like ASCAP is blue, BMI is red, right? Two blues go together, so the writer and the publisher account, they go together. You can't mix and match colors just because in terms of collection process, it just doesn't make sense and it doesn't work with their system. So always make sure you only really need to register with one PRO as a publisher unless you switch or you're managing different artists. If you are a manager and you're handling kind of the publishing side, you should be with every publisher. You should be with every PRO that offers publishing. So for the States, that's ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. There's 3. Globally, there's a lot more, and it's really only best to look into those if you have an artist that's generating money there. If not, just stick to those 3 and you're good to go. All right, I'm a songwriter and vocalist. Do I need a publisher account as well? 100%, 100%. So take, for example, you have a song that comes out, right? It's streamed 1,000 times. You make, let's say $10 just to make the math easy. If you're only with your PRO as a writer, and you are distributing it 100%, it's you with DistroKid or something like that, you're going to get paid $7.50 of that $10 rather than the whole $10. And you might ask yourself, why am I not getting the full $10? It's because you're missing out any portion of your publishing that is owed to you, but there's no way for them to process that because you don't have a publisher's account. So whenever you are say for example, a new independent artist, always register with a distributor just so you can release your music on Spotify, Apple Music, and any other DSP that might have it available. Then you want to register with a PRO. You can only register with one PRO. So you have to choose between ASCAP or BMI if you're in the States. If you're global and you're in a different country like Canada or Korea, there are specific PROs just for your country. You'll just have to type in, Canada PRO, Performance Rights Organization, and just see which one there is. Register, and then register with a publisher's account with the same PRO, just to ensure that you are getting kind of both halves of the pie. You won't actually be able to register your music unless you have a publisher too, so just do it. It's I think ASCAP right now is free. BMI, I believe, is $75. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure how much it costs now. But just choose one, look into each of them, see which one you like the most, and just sign up. I've been with ASCAP since I started making music, I think 12, 15 years ago. They've been okay for me. I mean, they pretty much just do collection. I'm not really taking advantage of a lot of their extra services that they do offer, mainly because I'm not generating enough money yet. So it's kind of like they collect, I'm good with it, kind of done. So always make sure you have both though. At minimum, you should have a distributor, like I mentioned before, a writer account with your PRO, a publisher account with your PRO, and then if you have time, register with the MLC and then register potentially with an admin publisher to help expedite some of the processes to make it easier for you. I made a song for a client's podcast. How do I register that song? So if the song isn't available and you don't plan on releasing it with DSPs, it's a little bit harder to collect. Podcasts, I don't believe, generate any royalties for in-podcast music. They're more treated like a sync licensing deal. So rather than, you know, let's say the Huberman Lab, right? That's like a neuroscience podcast. For example, if they wanted to use one of my songs, I would just charge them a, you know, flat fee. Like, hey, it's $1,000 if you want to use it for this many episodes. Give them a limit. If you want to refresh the licensing agreement, let me know. We can work something out. Just because with them, they're not getting paid and they're not having to submit, because it's not mainly music. It's mainly just spoken word and it's a podcast, right? They're not really generating. Music isn't kind of the main focus, more of like an auxiliary type thing. So if you do plan to put out a song that you make for a client's podcast, I would just put it out and just have some sort of agreement. That way people do like the song from the podcast, they can find you out later. You can ask to be added to like the show notes or whatnot, just to have some sort of residual streaming royalties. But yeah, flat fee, just to keep the answer short and sweet. Okay, hello, your video was very helpful. Thank you so much. I'm joining BMI as a songwriter today and is charging a $75 fee. Is this correct, or am I doing something wrong? Yeah, so I'm just gonna pull up the BMI website right now. So BMI does cost money now. It used to be free, and it used to be kind of the one that a lot of people go for. I still believe a lot of people have stuck with them. The company, for those that don't know, is for profit now. So rather than being a nonprofit, they're for profit, and they take, I think, 15% off the top for procedural / maintenance fees for their company. So just something to keep in mind. You know, it's worth noting that ASCAP, I believe, is the other option that's completely opposite. It's nonprofit and they're fully going for songwriters. BMI is also the case, but they take a higher percentage off the top of all the royalties that they're getting from Spotify, Apple Music, and whatnot. Worth noting that they're taking a little bit more off the top. I do believe that they pay slightly more for sync licensing placements, just because of how the company was formed and their agreements with different TV networks and whatnot. So worth looking into. So I do believe that they do charge. I'm on their website right now trying to find like where exactly it says how much they cost. But it is a fee now. It's a flat fee, so you're not paying every year, you're paying once. So don't worry too much about it. Sign up with ASCAP if you want to save money. You know, if you're not really generating any money with your music right now, I would pick the free options and try to keep a lot of the services that you use at the beginning free, because you're not generating money and you're going to have a lot of costs associated with pursuing music. Try to keep those costs down as much as you can, just to avoid having to repay those back through royalties and whatnot. So can we opt out of YouTube Content ID and Songtrust? I don't believe you can, but it only generates tags if the videos are generating more than a certain amount of streams. With Songtrust, their whole idea is they want to register your music and they don't want other people to use it without them paying or without you being able to monetize those videos. So if you are licensing beats on BeatStars or Airbit, I wouldn't advise you sign up with Songtrust and release your beats through them, because you're going to run into issues for your clients saying, hey, my video was flagged, like what's the situation? I think you can whitelist content on Songtrust, but it can be a pain and it can lead to some issues and hiccups with your clientele. So I would avoid that. I would just only release on BeatStars, only release on Airbit, and then any beats you don't want to sell, then release that and register them appropriately with Songtrust and your PRO. Does BMI Live have a process for bulk batch submissions or of live shows? Don't, I believe. You have to register each show one by one. They don't allow you to kind of, you know, send in the venue list and send in your set list and just kind of copy and paste. You do have to send it one by one because they do want to verify and make sure it is legit. It's worth noting though, if you do perform live, or if you have your music performed live by DJs and whatnot, have them submit a statement, have them submit some sort of set list every time your song is played, because that's money. That's money you could be generating, could be getting. I've played a live stream show like last year, just kind of for free, and registered the whole set list with my PRO and submitted it and actually got paid for it. So worth noting that not all venues are eligible for payments, but it's always worth checking and always worth submitting, because you never know. There might be a ASCAP or BMI, you know, funded venue nearby that you might not be aware of that should be paying you for your music. Okay, so this is about Songtrust again. What happens after 12 months? Will I need to pay more to register more songs after that? Also, I think CD Baby stopped publishing. Not sure what happened there. Your flat fee deal is just for 12 months. If you do wish to continue, you just pay that administrator fee of 15%. You don't have to pay the flat fee again. Your contract just keeps renewing. So that's worth noting. The reason why they do that is because it gives you a opt-out period in terms of if you wanted to leave Songtrust, and you give them a termination agreement to leave the service. That's the reason why they have that. CD Baby, I don't know a ton of anymore because I just haven't used them in forever. They used to offer a publishing service, I think called CD Baby Pro, which allowed you to do PRO collection through them. So they would handle all the registration for you. It was a little bit more expensive to get that done. But I think I did it for a couple songs, and I generated a lot of money out of nowhere from one of them, I think, from TikTok, I believe. There was one song that I don't think is flagged correctly. I think they definitely messed up on the PRO end, but it generated like $300 randomly. And this is a song from like 2010. So you never know. CD Baby, I mean, it's one of the longest standing distributors out there. It's a flat fee whenever you want to release a song. I would consider it an option definitely moving forward, especially if you are trying to avoid paying subscriptions for your music and trying to get all that stuff out. It's worth noting, you know, it can be cheaper in the future for pricing. I'm just looking into it. $10 actually. Might move to CD Baby, you never know. So yeah, I mean, it's like $10 to release a song. That would really only be good if you're releasing like a couple songs a year. If you're releasing a lot, DistroKid, Lander, something like that, TuneCore even, can allow you to push out more content faster. So even if you are paying every year, hopefully you're putting out enough music to kind of counteract that and balance it so you're, you know, making more on your back end. I followed your video for registering a song in my Writer account. Thank you so much. Do I need to log into my publishing account as well and register the song there too if I'm the publisher as well? No. You don't have to. So once you register once, whether you're with ASCAP or BMI, once you submit that registration, they will share that information with the other PROs that are involved in that specific song. For example, if I have my best song, right, and I'm writing it with one other writer, we're each getting 50% of the publishing. He is with BMI, I am with ASCAP. After I submit on ASCAP, a couple weeks will pass and then BMI will show that registration on his account. It's best to not double register if you can, because say for example, I'm spending all the time and really making sure that the information is accurate on my end when I submit it. If for example, the other writer was just kind of, you know, 2 a.m. like frantically registering their music and they put in some detail that's wrong, we're not getting paid until that error gets fixed. So it's best to just make sure that all that information is accurate, submit it, have that person check on their end just to make sure it's good, and then be done with it. I've had situations where I've had the songs double registered because another artist will just think that's what they need to do. That never is the case, and a lot of times it ends up leading to payment delays because they register something incorrectly or they're not putting in all the information that is necessary. A lot of people will leave out publishing information on their PRO statements just because they don't think it's necessary. They only think the writer's important. Some people vice versa. Some people will just spell names wrong. They'll put in different IPIs. There's a lot of things that can go wrong when you don't think they can go wrong. So it's best to avoid it. I usually just pick one person. It's like, hey, here's all the information you need. You know, these are all the splits. Just make sure you register it correctly and we're good to go. Make it easy. I personally would recommend having some sort of split sheet in every song agreement that you have, just to ensure that you're not getting screwed over for the future. And you have some written signed document showing, hey, these are the splits, you know, for the publishing, for the distribution, for the copyright, just to ensure that for the future that they can't turn around and change something just because they think it deserves to be different. So, always worth noting that, always worth going in and making sure that information is as accurate as possible. So I'm just gonna do a few more here. I'm not sure how long this video is gonna be, but hopefully you guys appreciate it. If you do have any other comments about publishing or music publishing or whatnot, feel free to write them down below. I'm more than happy to make another video, kind of like on a weekly series with anyone that has questions. So what is an IPI? How do I get it? So whenever you sign up with a PRO, whether that's ASCAP or BMI, you're given a IPI, which is your unique, you know, I don't even actually know what the number is or what IPI stands for, but think of it like your driver's license number, right? This identifies you as this writer, and it is shared amongst all the different PROs to ensure that you are the one-of-a-kind person, right? If you have a very common name like Kevin Nguyen, right? It's going to be very hard for people to find out the specific you, because if there's 400 people that are registered with PROs with the exact same name, that's going to be very difficult for them to figure out. So always worth making sure you record your IPI. With BMI, they do add an extra 0 at the beginning of your IPI. If you do register an artist that's on BMI on ASCAP, just delete that extra zero to make it easier. I think with ASCAP too, you can search up, once you type in the writer's name or their IPI, it'll pop up with their actual name. Just double check and make sure that's the same. If it's not, then usually there's something wrong on their end to make sure that you get that fixed. Have a bunch of songs written and finished, but I don't have a publisher or IPI. Then get one. You know, sign up with ASCAP, it's free. Sign up and make sure you get that, because if you don't have an IPI and you don't have registration, then you're missing out on money that you're supposed to get paid, right? Even if you are a producer, even if you are just doing it as a hobby, ASCAP's free. It's good practice to make sure you understand exactly where your money's coming from, because that can allow you to make smarter decisions on where you're spending your time and how the money is flowing to ensure that you're not getting screwed over in some part of the industry or another. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, if you're working with an artist and they're not registering their music, then you both are missing out on money that you could potentially be earning. So always register. If someone you're working with, it just isn't registered, advise that they do, because they're losing out money. Even if they don't care about money, those are the people you really need to worry about, because they will come back and freak out at you after. Always make sure your stuff is registered correctly, and always make sure that it is registered so you can ensure you're getting payments. Because, all right, so my camera cut off because the video is going too long, but like I was saying before, always make sure that you are registering your music. What happens with these songs that aren't registered that are generating money is all that money goes into a black box. ASCAP has their own black box, BMI has their own black box. And after a set amount of time, this money is then redistributed to the top, I forgot what number it is completely, but the top artists in America, that money is then redistributed to them. So for example, if I have a song that gets, 5 million streams and I don't register any of it, all the royalties from that 5 million streams will then go to the black box, sit in there for a minute, and then get retransferred to artists in the top. So think like Taylor Swift, Drake, Kendrick Lamar. They're getting my money from my music. So always register your music. Always, always, always. It doesn't take that long, even if it is a little bit daunting at the beginning. I made some videos, so very easy to follow. BMI, ASCAP, I have videos on both of those, as well as Songtrust. So check them out. Great way to figure out how to register your music. And but can I register them before the song is live? So I would advise as soon as the song is scheduled on your distributor of choice with DistroKid, Lander, or TuneCore, always make sure that you register it with ASCAP or BMI immediately after, because for registration purposes, you don't actually need any of the recording information. You just need the song title and then your your writer information. So I personally wait till I have it available and scheduled on DistroKid. DistroKid will usually give the ISRC a little bit later after you have uploaded the song. So once you have that code, just putting it in and having the song already and registered makes it a lot easier for release date, because when the song is out, the last thing you're going to be focusing on is getting the song registered. You're going to be hopefully promoting it, making TikToks, making content for it. So just one thing to kind of check off the list and make sure you don't have to worry about it for release date. Cool. Final question is, I have a finished album. I like to send the album to one of the synchronized music libraries. Okay, smart. I did the songs myself. Should I specify the library I want to send to, or should I just fill in the basic information and skip what songs are there for the library? Okay, when you are registering a song with BMI, it does have a tab that comes down that says, is this for library and production music house? Basically asking, did you make this specifically for a music library that plans to pitch it for TV and film? The main reason why they're asking for this information is to ensure that if it does and is being used for sync purposes, that they can make and footnote that song with the intention that for the future, when there's a cue sheet that comes in, they can tag the correct song on your catalog to make sure that you're getting paid based on whatever splits are determined. So it's kind of just for them to earmark and make sure that they are keeping tabs of the songs that are going to generate a cue sheet. Yeah, let me just see, because someone wants someone to steal my song. Okay, so most people that are worried about their songs getting stolen, that doesn't really happen as much as people might think. Out of my 10-15 years making music and collaborating with different artists, I would say that 1 out of maybe like a couple thousand has ever had their music stolen. And even then, it's like it wasn't really stolen. It was, maybe resampled, or maybe parts of it were, interpolated, so it wasn't exactly the same thing. That isn't a big worry, and I wouldn't really be too stressed about it. If you are worried about making sure that your songs are protected, at minimum, I would register with your PRO just to have some sort of recollection of, hey, this is the song and this is when I registered it. You can also make sure you have a registration with the Copyright Office as a sound recording as well as a composition. That does cost money, so I would avoid kind of doing it unless you are generating a lot of income from your music and getting a lot of attention, just to make sure everything is kind of locked in and safe for you, because it does cost, I believe, last time I did it was like $35 per song for just the composition side. So that would be like $70 for the sound recording side as well. So it does get expensive, and I don't know, not saying, don't worry about it and your songs aren't going to get stolen, because there always is a chance, but keeping in mind that that is a cost that is really just for your kind of, safety. So I think that kind of wraps it up, but thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully I have timestamped the actual questions down below so you can kind of skip ahead and see if I answered your question. But any other publishing questions you have about the music business, feel free to comment down below. More than happy to make another video in a couple weeks just to kind of answer those as well. For all the questions that I did answer today, I did just reply to the comments as soon as they came up on my YouTube page. So I am pretty actively looking at my comments on my page. So that's a great way to make sure your questions can get answered quickly. But thanks guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for the next video. Peace.